But I am so excited to be here, and I do just want to revisit this really exciting news coming out of FDA on rescinding the policy. That is huge. That's just one of many things that have changed in the past year. And I want to note how important that is for public perception, how important that is for consumer acceptance. And I also want to note that that happened while you all were here convening together, so maybe we don't wait a whole year for the next meeting. We might want to get together more often. My staff is making eyes at me that that's not a good deal. But again, thank you for having me back. I think last year I made the joke about how hilarious my kids found it, that there's so much brain power focused on cow burps, and fast forward to a year, they've grown up a little bit. Our oldest daughter will be starting college in the fall at another very good California university focused on agriculture. She's doing plant science. And then our son, who's a sophomore in high school, he still laughs about cow burps, but he recently did a presentation before his school's environmental club. And the topic was sustainability in agriculture. I was so excited. He picked this topic on his very own. And then he told me what his starting premise was. And it was that agriculture is very hard on the environment. And he promised me that this was a rhetorical flourish, that he wasn't trying to get me fired, he wasn't trying to press every last damn one of my buttons, but he just wanted to get people's attention when he started his speech. But he then did go on to talk about how California farmers, ranchers, dairies produce so much abundant nutrition to feed the world, a growing global population. And they do this while adhering to the most stringent environmental regulations in the country. And in many cases, they go above and beyond what they are required to do. Our farmers and ranchers and dairy folks, they take a great pride in being stewards of their lands, the air, their water resources, and being a part of pushing back climate change. So I share this story with you twofold. Just a reminder to anybody who needs to hear it, yes, teens will drive you nuts one minute and fill you with pride and love the next. It is a whiplash experience. But also, when he told me about his perspective and the presentation he gave and how interesting all the kids in his club found it, I felt like it was really important to remind you that the work you are doing here is important. It's important to counter sometimes unhelpful narratives around the relationship between agriculture and climate change. And it's really important to advancing the tools, the practices, and the science to prove that point. So over the last couple of days, you have covered an incredible amount of topics. And this information that you have been talking about and sharing is the foundation that we need to achieve our climate goals for the animal and the agriculture sector as a whole. Not just in California, but really across the world, because that's behind what so much of this work right now. It's climate change, the single most powerful natural and societal driver we have experienced in our lifetimes. So you may have noticed over the past couple of days that here in California, we are incredibly proud of our role as national leaders for agricultural research and innovation, and particularly when it comes to dairy and livestock sustainability. And this success is really because of the robust partnerships between CDFA, academic institutions, and dairy and livestock producers and advocates. Time has just flown since the last summit. And over the course of this year, CDFA and our dairy and livestock producers and partners have made some really important steps toward addressing the sector's dairy and livestock methane emissions. We have invested $15 million to accelerate our understanding of the efficacy, implementation, and the food and animal safety of emerging technologies for enteric methane. And I really want to underscore the importance of safety. We can have the best technology for enteric methane reduction, but if it isn't safe for people or for animals, it's just not going to work. And the public needs to feel confident in the safety of the product, so they will continue to enjoy their dairy and beef products. So we are continuing to coordinate and communicate with our federal partners at FDA on the approval process for novel products with enteric reduction claims. The FDA is the only approval agency for these types of products making a claim. And there are many companies in this room, and I strongly suggest, I strongly encourage, I am imploring you, please seek approval, please work with FDA. Additionally, we at CDFA are continuing to work hard to build out a framework to incentivize and promote the adoption of enteric solutions so that we, as a department, are ready to act as soon as these solutions become a reality in California. We know that addressing enteric emissions will be absolutely critical to reducing methane emissions across the dairy and livestock sector and meeting California's reduction targets. But it hasn't been really until this moment that such solutions are so clearly visible on the horizon. And that horizon is moving closer and quickly. And this summit also shows the momentum behind the solutions, right? Those solutions are coming up, they're coming up fast, they're moving more quickly, there is a momentum there. And if you haven't already heard, California's dairy industry is the #1 in the nation. I can never miss an opportunity to ring that bell. But I always emphasize that our dairy and livestock does not just feed the people in California, doesn't just feed people across the United States, but we feed people across the world. Dairy is the #2 export coming out of California. And not only is the global population growing, but the number of people that are demanding higher quality nutrition, and specifically high quality animal protein, is increasing. And while we want to keep feeding the world with California fruits and vegetables and nuts, we also want to make sure that our production systems allow for an environmentally sustainable world. So the good news is that here in California, as well as many other countries, but I like to talk about California, our dairies and ranchers are already taking advantage of available technology and tools right now to minimize methane emissions. One incredible example of this is the matching rate at which industry has supported the implementation of dairy digesters. 215% of state dollars have been matched by private dollars for dairy digester projects. So throughout the past 2 days, you've had the opportunity to dive into addressing enteric emissions, and I am really inspired and excited by all of the dedication and the passion that's in this room to develop and also to figure out a way to implement these solutions. And we have heard from industry-leading scientists working on reducing enteric emissions from every angle, from genetic engineering to nutrition plans to grazing management. And we've also heard from innovative leaders about developing the market and implementation pathways that are necessary to producer adoption and consumer acceptance of these new technologies. Now, if there is a single topic to get someone excited about the role of innovation in science in creating a greener future while also feeding a growing global population, it is enteric methane reduction strategies. So there are so many great ideas and advancements. It's really easy to get lost, especially over 2 days. We've covered a lot of ground. I just want to take a moment to step back and summarize a few of the key takeaways from what we've all heard over the past couple of days. And I'll start with the bottom line. The bottom line is that the future is bright for safe, cost-effective, practical solutions for enteric methane reduction. The energy at the summit last year and the continued momentum over the past year shows that we are forging ahead and we are optimistic. We also heard from Undersecretary Robert Bonney about the work that USDA is doing to support MMRV and the historic investments the federal government is making in incentivizing climate-smart practices, including 2 RCPP grants here in California to accelerate enteric adoption as soon as an FDA-approved solution is available. We heard a global perspective from our partners in New Zealand, Ireland, and Brazil on the scientific, political, and social dimensions of meeting methane reduction targets. We heard about breeding and the development of anti-methane vaccines and deployment of CRISPR and rumen microbiome engineering, technologies that could be especially important in addressing methane from cattle that are raised on pasture. We heard about the challenges of reporting and verifying enteric methane emissions on operations that vary from a few animals to a few thousand, from barns to pastures. And I think we all agree that the veracity of these claims is central to achieving our goals and earning consumer acceptance. We heard from nutritionists who play a key role in consumer acceptance and on-farm inclusion on these products, and who will play an important role in ground-truthing implementation of these products and strategies at a much larger scale. And finally, we heard about the importance of ensuring that the supply chain is informed of the challenge, the potential solutions, and that farmers and ranchers are part of designing solutions, and they're rewarded for their efforts in the market. This is especially important if enteric solutions don't have the same productivity benefits that past methane reduction activities have had. A theme through both days, I think, was partnerships, public-private partnerships, like the ones CDFA is investing in through our grant programs, as well as partnerships across the private industry, like the Greener Cattle Initiative, which recognize that there is room for companies to come together in the pre-competitive space and to make progress faster together. There is such a diversity of livestock production systems globally, and we need that diversity of thought to make this progress. We are so grateful for the time of all the individuals who participated in our panels, who talked about their work and their research. We are so grateful that you have dedicated your careers to studying enteric fermentation and in relation to climate change. The global reach of our panelists was also so impressive, and it's heartening to know that so many of us are pulling in the same direction worldwide. And we are incredibly lucky to have the partnership and the support of Dean Dillard and the UC Davis Clear Center in building out this path for enteric solutions, including fostering partnerships and information sharing through events just like this. Many, many hours of thought and effort on behalf of the staff from the Clear Center, from Spark Solutions, and CDFA were required to make this year's event another success. Take a few days to recover, and you'll be back at it again, because I have a feeling we'll have reason to get together again soon, I hope. I also want to give a shout out to all of the learners here in the room today that came to the summit ready to think about this complex topic. I cannot overstate the importance of people like you who are willing to engage deeply with this topic and broaden the reach of these solutions beyond the immediate and obvious stakeholders. With your dedication, with your knowledge, and your continued innovation, we will build on the work that we accomplished in the last year and intensely in the last couple of days, finding new ways to address climate change while providing new tools for our dairies and ranchers to continue leading our country, to continue leading the world in production and quality and taking care of our resources. Ultimately, the success of this pursuit, which has been highlighted in several of these panels, will be determined by the partnerships that we are able to create, and we need to bring more people into this conversation. So I want to say keep spreading the word, and thank you all so much for participating.